Welcome to the Music and Crypto Podcast, powered by Beachcoin. Sit back and listen to artists, crypto experts, and many different guests tell their stories as we get deep into the art of music and revolutionary crypto space. So let's get started.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Music and Crypto Podcast. I hope everyone is doing as good as Bitcoin has been doing for the last couple of weeks. I don't have really too much to say today, except that, VibraVid is getting another week closer out to testing that phase, while we also continue to hold strong as a Tron Super Rep in the third position. So thank you all from the crypto community who are voting for us. Now, if you're an artist or have a friend that's an artist, make sure you refer them to our Artist Accelerator campaign. We already have hundreds of artists taking part, and we will quite possibly be closing that very soon. So, beatscoin.io/artist, click on the Artist Accelerator, join us tab, and you just put some basic information. Get yourself some free Beatscoin. So, we know there's a lot of people out there that call themselves producers, and many do really well for themselves. But today I get to interview one of my favorite follows on Twitter. His name is Nando, and his company, 7-Star Music. He's a great business guy. I love his tweets, and we have a really good chat about the music industry, how it is when you're a producer, and how blockchain is going to take things to the next level for the music industry. So let's get straight to it. This is one of my favorite beats, Into the Starlight it's called, so I might just let this intro play a little longer than usual. All right, guys, let's get this going.
I just wanna feel alive in the starlight. I see in your eyes, your eyes. I just wanna feel alive in the starlight. I see in your eyes, your eyes. See me in the dark, in the darkness. My shadows, they follow you like an accomplice. Lost all of your dreams, the night is harder. My shadows, they follow you. My shadows, they follow you in the darkness. In the darkness. In the dark. I just wanna feel alive in the starlight. I see in your eyes, your eyes. I just wanna feel alive in the starlight. I see in your eyes, your eyes.
All right, what's going on, everyone? I'm with Mr. Nando from 7-Star Music. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Not too bad, man. I appreciate you jumping on with me, and I really wanted to have you on because we met via Twitter, and I know you said it was how exactly did you find us on Twitter? Or no, we tagged you on a post. I'm still trying to figure out.
It was actually somebody who came into my live, who was like coming into my lives like pretty frequently, and they started following me on Twitter, and I guess they are that person was like a crypto fanatic and or enthusiast, and he tagged me in one of your posts. He's like, you're a music producer, you might want to look into this, and that's when I saw it was one of your tweets regarding Beatscoin and VibraVid. And I was just like, oh, cool. I liked your tweet. I checked out your feed, and then I started following you. And then I think from there, you kind of went on to my Twitter, and you saw one of my pinned tweet video. And that's just kind of how it started, I guess,
Yeah, man. When I saw your pinned tweet, I was like, man, this guy knows business. This guy knows stuff. I'm going to see if I can find a way to take that pinned tweet and then put it here in the middle of the podcast. So we got to figure that out. But
sure.
I like what you say. You're like, you can't try and fake it till you make it. And actually, before we jumped on, I was looking at several of your tweets, and I took 4 or 5 of them that I just want to mention.
Sure.
But first, tell me about the business aspect and your kind of background in music.
I mean, I got into music years ago. I've been playing music since I was 8 years old. Been in various bands. Like, I was like a child of the 90s. You know, all I wanted to do was be like in a grunge band when I was like a teenager. You know, the older I got, the more my musical taste changed. I studied classical music. Then I started getting more into like R&B, pop, and jazz, and all that, hip hop. In the early 2000s, I managed to hook up with Charles Farrar while I was in engineering school. He was a pretty well-known songwriter. He was one half of The Characters. It was basically Charles Farrar and Troy Taylor. They wrote a few hits for Boyz II Men. So I was doing that grind for a while, just, you know, sleeping on a couch like during the week, working on the weekends. You know, got into the whole like real like music business, you know what I mean? Like, I was thrust basically like from nothing into like the A-list. I was going to like, we were developing an artist. His name was Nelson Ortiz at the time. We eventually got him signed to Bad Boy. We worked on that project for like 4 years, wrote hundreds of songs. So yeah, I mean, I got to see like the A-list music business firsthand. Eventually I had to leave that because I was the forever intern. No matter how much work I put in, no matter how much, I helped Charles Farrar's company grow. It was actually called Virus Entertainment. I just could not get to a point where I could sustain myself. So I had to leave that. And that's pretty much like the story for a lot of up and coming producers. I know there are a lot of like internet moguls that will tell you, you know, you got to work for free. That's the way to go. And the biggest lesson I learned working for free really was to discover my own self-worth and self-value. Because, you know what I mean? That's like the biggest lesson. You know, that's like the irony, like the poetic irony of it is like you work for free just to discover that you should never work for free when you become really good at something. You know? So, yes, man. So, I mean, fast forward, I took a break from music for a while, you know, had my baby girl, got married, all that fun stuff, and I started 7 Star Music a year ago, basically, like just around this time of year.
And you've grown a lot because you have a pretty decent following on Twitter, and I don't know what other social medias you're using, but... Yeah,
I'm on Instagram as well. I have a Facebook page, but my Twitter has been the strongest just because, I don't know, just something about, like you mentioned my tweets, like I keep it ultra real in my tweets. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Where do you get that inspiration from as far as your tweets go? Like, are you reading a book of quotes or something? Or are you coming up with these yourself?
No. It's like they kind of just like come spontaneously. Sometimes like something will happen that day. You know, like I'll have like an experience with like a certain artist, or like even just like, you know, part of my routine is like scouting for talent online, and I see like the way some of these artists are marketing themselves, and they just kind of like the tweets just kind of write themselves. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you know, like I don't know. For example, like those artists that will basically like post the exact same picture or will tweet the exact same thing like 20 times in one shot, like. You know what I mean? Like, just like random things that just kind of inspire the tweets. Yeah. You know, just like, no, you shouldn't do that. Or like, for example, people who start a fan, like they're nobodies, but they have a fan page. You know what I mean? Like you just hit the scene. You have like a main page, you have a fan page, you have a sub fan page, like pump the brakes there, buddy. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. That's exactly what you say on your pinned tweet. I'm like, we got to find a way to get that video and I'm just going to play it in the middle of this podcast. But reading a couple of them, here's one. Using the exact same marketing techniques as everyone else is like being a needle in and voluntarily throwing yourself into a haystack. Find creative ways to set yourself apart. Then here's another one that hit home for me, and it kind of brings the whole VibraVid and BeatsCoin thing. It says the bad news: algorithms keep changing on the more popular platforms, making it more difficult for artists just getting started to be seen. The good news: new platforms are constantly emerging. Keep your eyes open. Getting in early is crucial. And I agree 100% with that, because there's always an initial phase where you can take advantage of what's being hyped. And sometimes just for being early, you end up making a name for yourself there, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Before it becomes saturated, right? Before, like, the funny thing is, like, a lot of people tend to jump onto things when they're already established.
Yep.
You know? And that's like that unwillingness to take a risk, that unwillingness to like believe in yourself, like from the get-go, or to like explore different options. You know, everybody wants to be YouTube famous right now, you know, because that's where the action is. But it's like, well, guess what? There's like a lot of action there now. And like I said, like it says in the tweet, the algorithms keep changing. I see like YouTube producers that are abandoning YouTube now, and they're just creating their own networks. They built up enough of a following where they can have their own like web page and offer their services from there.
Right. Yeah, I've seen from music to podcasts to prank videos. I see guys that do pranks and they don't put them on YouTube anymore. They have like a membership on their site, and you know they're funny as heck, so people will go and sign up for it. So you're absolutely right. How did you, from a business perspective now, like what were the key things that you learned that, you know, gave you the experience and the know-how to proceed now that you're with 7-Star Music and, you know, doing stuff independently?
Well, I got wind of the whole beat leasing business. I thought that it was like an extremely like fair and balanced way for producers to be able to like, you know, make a sustainable living while like giving the opportunity for artists to like shoot their shot as far as like, you know, trying to blow up, you know. So I really like jumped into like the whole beat leasing thing. That's like, you know, my main, that's basically my business, right, is that. And you know, I've sold some exclusives in this last year too. But yeah, I mean, basically that is what made me decide to actually get back into this, because before that, you know, based off my experiences, you know, in New York City with like the major production companies I was working for, it was like this endless maze of like, you know, working and making all this music, not being compensated for it, and like hoping like if the stars will align that these records would come out. You know what I mean? And like in the upper echelons of the music business, like, you know, instrumentals are being bought and sold on a daily basis, and like 98% of them never see the light of day. Wow. You know what I mean? So when I discovered the whole, you know, beat leasing business, I was like, this is like perfect for me. Like I can make a living. I can give, you know, up and comers a chance to like record to, you know, real like quality instrumentals that sound credible. It's not like cheap production. You know what I mean? It's like this sounds like it could be on a record, and that's, you know, what my clientele is basically made of. Right now, it's a lot of like amateurs. You know what I mean? A lot of them don't even like have the courage to release what they create. You know, so I'll get these sales, and then once in a while, like, and again, it's only been a year, so, you know, I can't complain. Yeah. But I recently had this artist named, he goes by Big Lettuce, DZ Glaze. You know, he had the courage to like, he grabbed 4 leases, put out an album on iTunes and Spotify. He's like promoting himself, and it's like, all right, cool, like there it is, you know, like go for it, man. So I think this will become more and more of a trend. You know, like it's just a matter of, you know, gaining the popularity, being known, being seen, which we've discussed already is hard, you know, with the changing algorithms. So it's just a matter of time. You know what I mean? Right.
Before we talk about VibraVid and how that's going to help people get seen, explain to us the business process of production when it comes to beat leasing and exclusives and things like that. Like, how does the money aspect work with that?
Okay, so like the price. So basically, so from my store, you have 5 different options when you lease a beat. Now, to lease a beat means like you're basically renting it. You are paying for the right to use the instrumental to create a derivative work for profit. Okay, so. But the catch about a lease is I can sell the same beat again to any other artist around the world as many times as I want. Okay? So there are 4 different prices as far as leases go on my website. There's the $30 MP3 lease, which allows you 3,000 physical sales and 500,000 downloads. I think like 1 video. Then there's like the $50 wave lease. It's a little bit of a higher quality sound. And that allows you, I think, 5,000 physical units and 500,000 streams. I have the trackouts, which go for, I believe I have it under, I don't even know my own prices. I have it as $150. $150. You'll get the actual trackouts of the beat, so you can rearrange it to your liking. Have it mixed or mastered in another facility of your liking. And then there's the unlimited lease, which means you can sell as many physical copies as you want. You can get as many streams as you want, and you'll also have access to the trackouts as well. Now, as far as exclusives go, I charge much more. And on my website, I have it set to make an offer. But that sort of what an exclusive is, it just means that nobody else will have access to that instrumental but you, but the artist.
Gotcha.
But the one artist.
So let's say...
And those,
Let's say that an artist hits it big with one of your beats that they've leased.
Right.
How do you keep track of the streams? Like, let's say that it's streamed 1 million times on Spotify or whatever. How do you keep track of the streams, and what happens at that point?
Well, supposedly the platform I use to sell my beats, BeatStars, tracks everything through the technology that they have through YouTube and all of that. If an artist were to make it big, that hasn't happened yet, obviously. Obviously, it would be, it would be inescapable. It would be pretty easy to find out. You know what I mean? Or not. Because it hasn't happened to me yet. I would think it would be easy to find out. But, if something blows up, you kind of know, but who knows? Something could blow up in Indonesia for all I know, and I would have no clue.
Right.
So, that's a really good question. If say I were to get wind of it, obviously I would contact the artist. We would renegotiate a new contract or something, and find the best solution for the both of us. You know what I mean? And that would be great news for both. That's like a best case scenario. But it's pretty difficult to go viral, quote unquote. Yeah. Nowadays, especially.
I think this is where blockchain is going to make a huge difference, because with situations like this, and I don't think we're 100% there yet with the technology, but we know it's there, and we're going to be able to do those kind of things where you have a preset sort of smart contract where you already know you're getting a certain percentage for each stream, and that way it makes the whole negotiation process honest, and where you don't really have to trust anyone, because it's, I don't know why they say they call it trustless, but I would tend to say it's trustworthy. I don't. Yeah. They say it's a Bitcoin and blockchain is a trustless system. I guess that means it's automatic. You don't have to trust anything because it's automatic.
Trust is not. Yeah, it's not necessary because everything's transparent. So I think that's what's basically trying to say.
Hey,
yeah,
man, dude,
you're
good.
Yeah, that's what's so exciting about blockchain technology, because the music business is like notorious for like this whole trust thing. Like, a lot of big name producers, they use their clout and their power just to be able to take advantage of as many people as possible. It's like, oh, well, this is the game, this is what it is, and everything is under the table and everything's hush hush. Like, it's like, no, like it's 2019. Like it's time to end that. Like, I still get offers of people trying to to buy beats not through the web store. Like, I have a store, you can just put in your PayPal information, we can just do things nice, easy, and clean. Like, why are you trying to email me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's trying to find back doors, and that's that's a major problem, and I think blockchain could definitely help solve that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Tell me what you know about Bitcoin and blockchain, because I know you're not
definitely not.
you could probably fake it till you make it when it comes to Bitcoin and blockchain. But tell me how you first got wind of cryptocurrencies in general. Was it us, or? I mean,
it's kind of inescapable. I mean, if you're on Twitter, period, or if you even watch the I'm a big fan of the Joe Rogan Experience, so I listen to that podcast all the time, and they talk about it all the time. My understanding is that this cryptocurrency is basically the coins are mined through computers that are running 24/7, that are basically solving these complex algorithms, and that's how it creates its value. Is that am I close, or did I?
Yeah, I mean, it just all depends on which cryptocurrency you're referring to. Bitcoin works on what's called proof of work. So yeah, it has to work, and you have to have these systems, and it's very not time consuming, but it consumes a lot of resources, a lot of electricity to mine these Bitcoin. But yeah, essentially you have a node of computers, it's decentralized, and it's on a public ledger, so nothing can really be hidden. But at the same time, you're anonymous. Now, there's other systems that work a little more efficiently. Like, for instance, Tron will use a durable proof of stake. So, for instance, Beatscoin, if you look on tronscan.org, we're one of the top 27 representatives. So, instead of everyone being able to mine, we're one of the miners, right? But what we do is what we get paid, we give it back to the voters. So, on durable proof of stake, you've got people that use their Tron as leverage. So you can find some, conflicts with that because, the person with 5 million TRX coins, has more leverage than 100 people with 1,000 coins. You know what I mean? So, but that's been the system that's been used right now, and it's so much more energy efficient. It's so much faster, and that's why Tron's growing exponentially with all these decentralized applications. And it's pretty much why we chose to build on Tron because they've got the BitTorrent protocol, which has been established since 2000, and it's got 100 million user base. So we're pretty excited about that. So yeah, I mean, you got an idea of what it is. It's a deflationary asset, Bitcoin and most of these other cryptocurrencies, because they have a fixed supply. So when you have a fixed supply and you can't make more, like the Federal Reserve can just go and print more money, and they're devaluing the dollar. Like look at beyond 1914, the buying power of the dollar has decreased drastically. So absolutely, that's why with VibraVid we're creating like that music and video ecosystem platform. So where the artists can go in and market themselves with the currency, they receive in the currency, they get paid out in the currency. So it's kind of like a cycle of life type thing. You know what I mean?
I see.
So what's your thought on our platform? Like what's something that kind of grabbed your attention when you were, first looking into Beatscoin and VibraVid?
Basically, just the fact that it's like the whole idea of being decentralized, and the reward system really kind of grabbed my attention. And I'm not gonna lie, like as a content creator, like any new platform for any content creator is a good thing. You know what I mean? Like if you're making something, you want to put it in as many places as possible.
Right.
So that's like that's like a major deal. And the crypto aspect. I believe you guys had like this chart of like the different things, like compared to like YouTube and Apple and Spotify, like what you offer compared to them. And like you have like the green check mark, like straight down the line, what the artist gets. So, I mean, it seems like a total no-brainer, when you think of it.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Like I could see, you having one of your beats and collaborating with an artist, and in the future when we have smart contracts, you say, hey, for every stream I'm getting like, 20% of the income, whatever is established, right? And then it's going to be awesome because every time that song is streamed and people are paying, you're getting your 20% without having to worry about anything. So things like that are something that we're really looking forward to on the platform, as well as, those ones you mentioned the problem. It's hard to get heard. And I kind of laugh at those people that are like, oh, you'll never be as big as Spotify. I said, okay, I will take being 1% the size of Spotify, because then that means we're, a multi-million-dollar company. There's plenty of business in entertainment and content creation, and that. So you're one of the smart ones. That's what you say. Jump on these new platforms.
Exactly.
And I think that's another huge thing, is that these content creators need to be able to market themselves. They need to have something to give. And what's this application? SoundCloud? Yeah, SoundCloud. They kind of helped a little bit with that, but I feel like we're taking it to a whole nother level.
Absolutely.
But just to mention another of your tweets, here's the problem: that some people are scared to fail, and they become experts in self-sabotage. So they won't give these opportunities because they're kind of blinded by what someone else says or what the media says and things like that.
Right. Or they just become so like, a lot of people are just like I was talking about before, like artists who like never release their music because they feel they'll never be as good as like Eminem or a Tupac, or you know what I mean? So they find every reason to never ever get started. They just self-sabotage, like, no, it's not ready yet. No, this EP's no good. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of producers who like barely ever put out any. They don't even have beat stores set up, like, because they're just like, no, I'm still, you know, working on, you know, making the perfect beat. When I was in engineering school, there was a kid in my class that had been working on one beat for an entire year, the same beat. And, you know what I mean? So it's like you're hurting yourself by not like just putting yourself out there. You know, sometimes like good enough should be good enough, and you can only grow if you just keep doing it and keep progressing. You know.
Right, you're never gonna know until you put it out there.
You're never gonna know. Yeah, let you know, if you start putting music out and you see that your following isn't growing, it's like, okay, that means something needs to change. I need to progress somehow. I need to improve somehow. But some people never even make it that far because they never put anything out. You know.
Oh yeah. Well, absolutely, you're 100% right on that. And I think this will give people more courage because they're like, let me put it out there. I might earn something, or you know, let me
some beats going.
Yeah, let me throw out some incentives for people to listen, and you know, let's see if my fan base or my follower base increases on that.
Absolutely.
Then you got the other side of the spectrum. And I'm going to read, this is the last tweet that I copied from your feed. It said, don't let your thirst for success put you in a position where you're taken advantage of. What happens when you start feeding stray cats? And it kind of sounds like that kind of happened to you, right? And at one point.
Right. Yeah, that's basically what I learned, when I was working in the city. Stray cats stop coming around when you stop putting the food out. They just disappear completely. And yeah, I mean, it's a common story, man. Like people that are just like willing to do anything and everything for success. Like, oh, I'll sleep on the couch. I'll give you all the music you want. I'm down for the cause. And people love taking advantage of that.
That's what happens in Hollywood too.
That's what happens in Hollywood. That's another reason why, Beatscoin and VibraVid, are going to be beneficial to help stop this. There's a huge imbalance in the entertainment industry. It's like the gates are like super tight and closed right now, and we need to bring back that balance. I mean, I hate to quote Jurassic Park, but like life finds a way.
That's a first.
Like the industry needs to find a way. Like I mean, I love Jay-Z and Beyonce to death, but I mean, do you really mean to tell me that it's just going to be Jay-Z and Beyonce at the top of the game forever? You know what I mean? Like we need some fresh blood. We need more variety. We need more people to have a chance to be heard because there's a ton of talent out there.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right, man. You're 100%.
We need to bring balance back to the force.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, being too thirsty and too enthusiastic will ultimately put you in a position where you're getting taken advantage of. I mean, that's just the way it is. And a lot more people need to realize that. And it's hard too because you have like I was saying before, internet moguls who are, talking their business and talking their talk, saying like, oh, you gotta work for free, it's the only way to open those doors. It's like, no, that's completely disempowering. You have to empower yourself. Otherwise, you will never be taken seriously. If you become known as the guy who feeds stray cats, you're going to be feeding stray cats forever.
Right, right. No, I'm glad you reiterate that point because the people that obviously we want to get, top of the line, best artist available onto VibraVid, all those mainstream people. But at the same time, we do realize that most of the business or most of our, people that we want here are people that, haven't had the opportunity to get discovered. And this way they have a better opportunity to be heard, Right. So I do see, VibraVid as a great gateway to get a lot more recognition and get into a space that's only going to keep growing and growing and growing.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to kind of backtrack a little bit because it really
Sure.
interested me when we were talking earlier. Tell me about your your background in music, because you said you lived in Italy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Tell me a little bit about that.
I lived in Sicily for 6 years. I studied at the Conservatory Ascontrino in Trapani. I studied classical piano and composition because, you know, I was always a music nerd. I knew that that's what I wanted to do, you know, from a very early age. So my parents, being, you know, Italian immigrants, they figured that's the best solution, you know what I mean? Problem was, I wasn't exactly like a model student because, you know, being a classical pianist is like a whole other mindset, you know, to want to become that. I was always more into like popular music, you know, whether it be rock, hip hop, R&B. So I mean, I did great in music theory, because music theory I loved because it actually like put a name to everything I was hearing in my head and everything I was discovering, but not knowing exactly what it was. So it helped me hone my craft, like, you know, to really dive into music theory. So yeah, I mean, I play multiple instruments. I play guitar, drums, piano, bass, all that. I then moved it forward into learning audio engineering, because that's a whole other aspect where you know now you can make the music. How do you make it sound optimal? How do you get it to sound the best it can be?
Right.
So I then when I moved back to the States, I went to SAE for a little while. Dropped out of that because I was then discovered by the producers I was telling you about earlier, but eventually went back to studying audio engineering through Berklee School of Music online, and like finished a course in mixing and mastering. And after that is, you know, basically when I launched Seven Stars, because I was like, all right, I'm at a point where not only can I make the music, it can also sound great, and I'm ready to, you know, put my content out there.
Yeah, man, I was really impressed because I get all the emails from Artist Accelerator, so we have, you know, that where we where you could put a sample and you put that beat out there, and I'm like, man, this is good stuff. And I'm kind of like putting it all together now. You said you were a piano player. I'm assuming that, you know, the piano on there, you did that yourself. And
yeah,
I love, my favorite beats are the ones where you can kind of mix the classical piano, the grand piano, and then just stick a beat on there, and it's fantastic, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. I try to, you know, keep it, you know, traditional and modern at the same time. You know, I think the best music has like echoes of the past mixed with, you know, what's hot and what's fresh now. And that's what keeps the ball rolling, you know, that's what keeps the traditions alive, you know.
Right.
Real music like that will never go out of style. Melodies and chords will never, ever go out of style.
Let me make a point on that, because a lot of producers and just kind of listening to their beats, they're cool, but they seem very one-dimensional. It's just for like, you know, just for a flat-out rap song, 100% rap. But I feel like your beats, you know, you can I can think of many more artists with a lot of range that would benefit a lot from beats that you have, because they can create a song that, you know, you can listen to their vocals as well as listen to their, you know, their flow, their raps, their freestyles.
Right. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I basically try to do to set myself apart. Like I knew exactly what you're talking about that like generic, that kind of stale sound.
Like it's cool, but it sounds the same.
Right. It sounds the same, and there's like, it's almost like soulless. Like it's not giving me the goosebumps. There's something missing here. Like I hear the sounds, I hear the drums. Why am I not getting excited? Right. You know what I mean? And that's what's missing. And a big part of the reason why that's happening is because, you know, DAWs, you know, digital audio workstations are available to anyone now. So you have a lot of people that, you know, they're just like feeling their way around. They're like putting sounds together, like, oh, this is what it is, right? Like this is how you make music. You put a drum beat and you have like these sounds, and I'm done. It's like, well, no, it's a little bit more complicated than that. There's nuance. There's, you know, there's a lot of like, there's years of study and experience that go into even making simple pop songs. You know what I mean? There's so much that you have to like learn before you can actually call yourself a producer. And nowadays, the first 13-year-old kid with FL Studio and you know, a set of KRKs is like, yep, I'm a producer. I'm ready. Let's do this. You know. So but what are you gonna do? It's like it is what it is. That's part of the reason why it's so saturated. But you accept the good with the bad.
No, it feels like you've really been able to hone in on your craft and kind of set yourself apart. So you've been doing this for a year and you've got a pretty good following. I think you're gonna do great, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I probably would have quit by now if I didn't see, like, I'm seeing, like, month-to-month growth. So, yeah, it's just, like, it's just a matter of keeping on doing it. Like, the following is growing. More eyes are on me. So, and then, like, this opportunity, I thank you so much for having me on. Like, it's just, like they say, if you build it, they will come. And it's kind of, if you put in the work and really, focus on it, things start to happen. Things start to open up.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You start getting on more
VibraVid's
shows.
Going to be great.
Yeah.
What's that?
It is. You start getting on more shows and people start talking to you and seeing your genuineness and how you have a different approach at things. People are going to follow you naturally, like they already have. So,
yeah.
Fantastic, man. I really appreciate you jumping on and having this chat with me. VibraVid's going to launch soon, and we'll definitely see some production on there, and hopefully we see one of those beats, hit it big there.
Well, I'm gonna be uploading my entire catalog once that thing launches. So, and I'll be uploading consistently. So you guys might actually get sick of me for.
Hey, you're gonna be one of the smart ones.
No, I'm excited as well, and thank you, Alex, for having me on. This is a great opportunity. I really appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
I just wanna feel alive. In the starlight, I see in your eyes.
All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that episode with Nando. Make sure you follow him over at Twitter. He's at 7star Beats. Same with Instagram, 7star Beats. And he does have a website, 7starbeats.com. I know we have a lot of rapper listeners, so put some flows together with some of his beats and you might be just the next masterpiece. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoy your day, your evening, whenever you're listening. One last thing that I wanted to give a shout out to was Friendster, since they are one of our new partners. We're trying to bring the whole crypto community and social media platforms that we believe in together. So make sure you sign up on Friendster.io and get yourself a profile up there and check out all the cool features that it has. Until next time, we will see you later. Peace.